So one thing I'd like to do is kind of show you the components of a lesson in morphology and what that might look like. In our segment on general vocabulary instruction, we looked at the importance of word selection, picking high-impact words that have multiple applications, that allow for interesting wordplay using attributes like polysemy, and that foster in students the metalinguistics necessary to build the skills necessary to develop vocabulary independent of teacher guidance, are essential ingredients for words worthy of investigation. Since this segment is on morphology in particular, I'd like to share what a lesson in morphology might look like. Let's look together at a word that complements concept instruction in a content area other than ELA for this project. Something from science, social studies, or mathematics, since a good deal of the high-impact multi-morpheme words occur in these content areas. Find an appropriate word, hopefully from a studied text. This is an important and time-consuming portion of teacher preparation because word selection is both challenging and essential. For the sake of our discussion today, I'm going to look at the word symmetrical, a rich word that is essential not only in the core subject of math, but also potentially science and a variety of advanced subjects, such as architecture and visual arts. Symmetrical is a rich word to mine. It has several morphemes that form key components of a number of English words. Let's look more deeply. This word has a number of features that indicate its Greek origin, including the prefix sym, the y functioning as an I in that prefix, the common suffix ic, and the fact that this word is tied to science, school, and frankly, the arts. A quick look at Edym Online, an excellent resource for uncovering the origins of words, yields some important information to those who might be unfamiliar with the meaning parts in this word. The suffixes ic and al indicate an adjective. While part of speech might be of no concern to a science or mathematics instructor, understanding that this word is an adjective allows students in those subjects to use it accurately when they speak and write. You don't say, for example, the features of symmetrical are impressive in Roman architecture. You would use the word symmetry instead. But you can use symmetrical in a question like, are these two triangles symmetrical? Knowing that symmetrical describes things like triangles, in other words, that it's an adjective, is useful for expressive language. The base METR has a sister form you're very familiar with, METER. As you're probably aware, both mean measure, and these are morphemes that appear in dozens of English words. Since METR is our base, it makes sense to focus primary instructional time on it, using the affixes in symmetrical to show how METR changes when connected to other meaning parts. Leading students to investigate other METR words, such as geometric, telemetry, and diametrically, and then to explore how their meanings relate to the meaning measure, provides a rich vocabulary-linked lesson. Word sums show the morpheme parts that build complex Tier 2 words. While METR is our focus morpheme here, these words open doors to other worthwhile morphemes. Consider PSYCH, mind, and TRI, 3, and BIO, life, all of which show up in various METR words. Here's a word matrix for the base METR, meaning measure. It's built from the sums that I just showed you, and some others. What makes the matrix such a compelling tool is that it shows how meaning parts relate to one another within words, but also between words. Students construct matrices that allow them to explore word meaning. I'd also like to show you a word web. This is for symmetrical. The prefix sym is also in words like symptom, symbiotic, and symphony. The base METR, which has as its twin base METER, appears in a number of words, several of which we already discussed. The suffixes ic and al again indicate an adjective. Now let's look a little bit more deeply at that prefix. Any good dictionary will tell you that SYM, a relatively common prefix of Greek origin, means together or same. It shares meaning with its sister prefixes SYL and SYN. This is readily apparent in words like synonym, same name, and syllable, literally sounds together. You can explore this tangent at your whim with students who will find many rich parallels in SYM, SYL, and SYN. For our purposes today, though, let's just look at SYM. Leading students to investigate other SYM words such as sympathy, symptom, and symposium, and then to explore how their meanings relate to together or same, provides a rich vocabulary-linked lesson. Then you might want to consider what asymmetrical means. That A, meaning without or not, is in a lot of words, most of Greek origin. We have atypical, apathy, agnostic, amoral, apolitical, and so on. While you might not want to explore that during your lesson on symmetrical, certainly it might bear investigation at a later date. You can see how I've added the prefix A to our symmetrical word web. From that A, you can see a number of words, most of which I just mentioned. Morphology isn't an isolated study. It needs to be taught using best practices for teaching vocabulary. It needs to be taught using a problem-solving approach where students are asked good questions and asked to investigate, and it needs to be taught in application. Don't give them a matrix. Give them a base and have them generate words and create a matrix of their own. Don't give them a web of morphologically related words. Lead them to create it. Don't give them a meaning to memorize. Help them uncover it on their own and help them see how it relates to other words that contain the studied morpheme. Build application through having students read sentences and passages containing the word or morpheme you're studying. Have them generate sentences of their own using words containing the morpheme as well. That curiosity you develop in students will apply to their future word investigations, even when you aren't involved in the process. I want to say one more thing to you to put your fears to rest. Perhaps one of the best things about morphological study is that you don't have to be or act like the expert. This is about exploring words with students, helping them uncover meanings and deepen their understanding, and in doing so, helping them develop word sense to explore words on their own. It's a win-win for everyone, and it will make students better readers, writers, and thinkers. I hope you've enjoyed this segment and encourage you to take advantage of the concepts we've discussed to work with students in the area of deep, research-based vocabulary instruction to build better readers, writers, and thinkers.
The meaningful parts that make up words are vital to our understanding of vocabulary and how it impacts reading and writing. Morphology is relevant to teachers in every discipline across the state of Arkansas. Thank you again for joining us this hour on morphology, and we will see William again in the course on syntax.